What up, guys? It's Derp Wigglies here with another Dark and Darker video. This one is a beginner's guide to playing Dark and Darker. I'm going to try to do a complete beginner's guide. This one might be a little bit longer, but I'm going to try to do a short, brief overview, and then I'll go over some more in-depth mechanics and stuff later in the video. So let's get right into it. So first off, this is for version 6.2.2250. So as of November 28th, 2023, this is the latest version we have. So I already have a bunch of characters. A lot of them are level 1. My main for this has been Fighter. So what I'll do is I'll delete this character and I will create a character. So right now we have Fighter, Barbarian, Rogue, Ranger, Wizard, Cleric, Bard, and Warlock. So Warlock's still not completed yet. Druid is coming soon, and then after that, who knows? My recommendation for most new players would be Fighter, and my reasoning behind this is because it's a very easy class to play because you have access to almost every weapon, actually every weapon in the game. You don't have to worry about magic. You only have to worry about 2 abilities, and they have decent movement speed, decent health, and the ability to wear armor. So, and you could also fill the role of like a ranger or a rogue, um, and you have a lot of self sustain. So, name your character whatever you want. I'll do yeah, there we go. Test 00001. That's fine. So I'm gonna enter the lobby. One thing that a lot of people I don't see recommend or talk about is I would actually go into your options and go into video and set everything to low and cap your frame rate at something reasonable. And the reason why I recommend this is because there is effects in this game that make the screen blurry or shaky. And if you set everything to low, it actually minimizes that. So there's a scream from a bat that makes your, especially if you have any kind of motion sickness or anything. I get some, I mean, this is the only thing that's ever given me motion sickness. But when I have everything at epic or high, the screen shake and the screen movement is kind of bad. So it gives me motion sickness. So if you have any kind of motion sickness or any kind of visual issue, either like epilepsy or anything that might have auditory or visual triggers, I would set everything to low, and it makes all that stuff a lot more manageable. Especially with like motion sickness and the motion blur and all that stuff. You could switch everything else to how you want it, change your inputs, but that's the first thing I would do is set everything to low because it minimizes all that stuff. And it also just makes it easier to play. It also makes ale in the game that you could drink that gives you a buff, and it gives you that same kind of drunk motion blur. And this completely minimizes that. So yeah, I would just do that first off. So first things first is you're going to want to go to your class and first you want to familiarize with this stuff on the top. So there's play. This brings you back to the main menu. On the main menu, you could select your region. So I am on the West Coast, so I do US West Oregon. You could do US East, whatever. There's all your options right here. If you click on the dungeon map, it brings you into the dungeon map. There's 2 goblin caves. It'll tell you right up here. It tells you their rule sets on the left over here. There's normal and high roller. Normal is the kind of like beginner friendly or casual friendly mode. There's no entrance fee. For goblin caves, it's solo adventurers only. The item drop rates are pretty standard. And then you can only go in with common grade items or lower. So that's the white tagged items. So it means that you're going to be sure that you're not going to go up against anybody with like legendary items or really good gear. There is like a soft MMR in place. We don't know anything really about it other than that it's in place. And then there is High Roller, which is free for right now. And there is a lot better loot here, but there is no gear cap. right? So you could go into High Roller with whatever gear you want, and everything from base kit, so your starting items, all the way up to full legendaries if you want. There is really good gear here. So this is for more experienced players. What I highly recommend is everybody start off in normals and learn PvE first, and then work their way up into High Roller. If you're really good, you don't even really need to have great gear to go into High Roller, but for new players, I would stick to normal. Goblin Caves is for solo, and then the Ruins of Forgotten Castle, you have the actual ruins themselves, which is a duos and solo mode only, and it has better drop rates than Goblin Caves and Howling Crypts. So it's slightly better drop rates. It is only one level, and it is survival of the fittest. So there's no portals that go down, and there's only one. There's only a handful of guaranteed escapes on the last circle, but there is no static extractions. So it's also the same rule set as the normal Goblin Caves and normal Howling Crypts, where it's common items or lower quality. So you can't bring in legendary items and stuff like this. So it is a little bit safer and more casual friendly. And then you have the Howling Crypts, which is you have solos, duos, or trios. So you can go in here with any team size that you want, up to 3 people. There's no entrance fee for normals. Common and elite monsters only. There are lower drop rates for high quality gear, so it's about the same as the normal Goblin Caves. And then only common items or lower can be brought into the dungeon. You can find greens and blues and purples, but you cannot find legendaries in any normal mode. So Howling Crypts is for the High Roller is right now it's free, no minimum level requirement, and there's no kill feed, so you don't know who is getting killed. You don't know how many people are left in the map. It's all elite and nightmare monsters, or for the most part, it's all elite and nightmare monsters. There's better drop rates for high quality gear, so you could get all the way up to legendaries. Now, Howling Crypts is one of my favorite maps because it's solo, duo, or trio, and it has 2 levels. You have the first floors, and then you could always go into the Inferno. Inferno is you go through a red portal, and it brings you into basically a second stage of the map. So there's 2 stages to the map itself. You have the normal first level of the crypts, and then you could go down into Inferno. The Ruins doesn't have that, and Goblin Caves doesn't have that either. So I really like Howling Crypts. The monsters here are mostly skeletons, skeletal mages, mostly undead themed. And then when you go into Inferno, it's like hell themed. So it's demon bats, demons, demon dogs, just normal hell kind of stuff. And the same thing applies to Howling Crypts. And then for Goblin Caves, it's, as the name says, it's mostly goblins. You have a few skeletons, some bats, spiders, stuff like that. Stuff you would find in like a cave environment. Now, High Roller has the exact same, except the monsters are going to be higher difficulty. The major differences between normals and High Roller is that it increases the difficulty of the monsters, and you get better gear because of it. Now, with that explained, you have High Roller leaderboards. So High Roller is also ranked, and there's a leaderboard associated with it. And there's also a title system. So you have Neophyte, Apprentice, Wanderer, Pathfinder, Voyager, Exemplar, and Demigod. And then if you get up to Pathfinder, you get an exclusive skin. And then there are other rewards that you get along the way, right? So this isn't really useful for brand new players, but you could kind of get a judge of the top players in the game. So right now it's TTLY, Millert, Repose, Anti-Rain, and then the list goes on and on. And then from there you go to class. This is where you pick your class perks and abilities. So right now this is unavailable, this class trainer. So what this is going to do is it's going to give you like the ability to specialize your character. But for right now, mostly perks and skills. And then if you have a magic class like wizard, warlock, cleric, bard, there's also going to be a spells tab right here. So if I switch character, so if I go back to play, so this button takes you into the dungeon itself. Here's your player statistics. Then there's fame and karma. So the people you play with, you could either give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. A thumbs up is praise, thumbs down is punishing, and then like saying that they were bad, or that they were doing stuff to be unfriendly, or like say they were stealing your loot or team killing or whatever. And then there's also punish team killers. So if you actually do get team killed, you can punish them, and it's severely. It'll give them a red name after so many times of down, like basically punishing or team killing. And if they have a red name, it lets other players know that they're team killers or that they are jerks, right? Then there's a player list. This will tell you everybody who's available in the lobby right now. And then you can sort by class, right? This goes through everybody. And then there's blocked player list. I don't have anybody blocked because I'm on a new character. And then change class. So I'm going to change to my warlock, who's also level 1. And go to class. And then see, here's the spell tab. So go back to my fighter. So that's your class tab. Your perks and skills, it's going to tell you everything. So you have strength, which increases your physical power and the damage you do with your weapons and slightly increases your health. Vigor is going to increase your health. And your health recovery bonus. Agility is your movement speed, and it slightly increases your action speed. Dexterity is mostly action speed, and increases your regular interaction speed of your character. Will increases your spell power, improves your buff and curse duration, and improves your base magic resistance. Knowledge increases the memory capacity of your character and spellcasting speed of your character. Resourcefulness it increases how fast you interact with stuff, and slightly increases how quickly you install items such as traps and campfires. Health, so basically opening chests, opening doors, laying down campfires, etc. Your health is your hit points. Memory capacity is how many spells you can have. There's a special system for spells. I'll go over that when I go over spellcasting. Utility effectiveness, luck, health recovery bonus. Luck is not super important, but it does affect your drop rates. Spell recovery, movement speed, action speed. So there's all of your stats right here. It gets pretty complicated, to be honest. They're not very straightforward, but your abilities and stuff are here. So on the right hand side, you're going to find your perks and skills. Now, perks are all passive. So for example, you have defense mastery on fighter, grants an additional 10% armor rating bonus for equipped armor. And then you get these perks at very specific levels. You start off with 1 at level 1, then you get your second at level 5, your third at level 10, and your fourth at level 15. You don't get anything at level 20 currently, but that's going to come with the training. From there, you have your 2 skills. Now, these skills are going to be your your activatable abilities, right? So right now I have sprint. So when I click Q, so this one is going to be Q, and then this one is going to be E. So the left one is Q, the right one is E. So I'm going to equip sprint, which gives me 50 additional movement speed for 6 seconds. And then second wind recovers 40% of my maximum health over 12 seconds. Additionally, second wind removes any negative effects of adrenaline rush. Adrenaline rush gives you 15% action speed, so that is attack speed. For 8 seconds. After the duration ends, lose 8% action speed and 4% movement speed bonus for 2 seconds. Breakthrough removes all debuffs that slow and move your speed. Perfect block, gain 5 impact resistance for 6 seconds. Shield Slam inflicts 25 physical damage on the player and reduces the target's move speed by 20% for 2 seconds. Taunt is a taunt. Victory Strike increases your next attack, deals an additional 20% physical bonus damage. If the target dies from this attack, you heal 5% of your maximum health. So right now the current meta is basically Sprint and Second Wind. I also like Victory Strike and Second Wind. Other than that, the only other useful one is Adrenaline Rush is really good too. So I'll do Sprint and Adrenaline Rush sometimes. I'll do Victory Strike and Sprint sometimes. Or I'll do Second Wind and Sprint. If you're just starting out, I would say take Sprint and Second Wind because it's going to help you get away. It's going to help you engage, and you're going to have that added ability to regain health, right? So as for perks, I would take Combo Attack first, because when you successfully melee attack consecutive within 2 seconds, gain a 10% physical damage bonus temporarily, which can be huge, especially if you keep attacking. So another good one to start out with would be Weapon Master or Counterattack. So counterattacking, when you successfully block an attack, you gain 10% movement speed bonus and 10% action speed. So that's 10% movement and attack speed. Barricade is also decent. While in defensive stance, gain 50 armor. That could be also pretty huge. But I play it more aggressive. So if you're playing more aggressive, I would take Combo Attack. If you're playing more defensive, I would take Barricade or Shield Mastery. Now, moving on to your stash tab, that's going to be where you can see a quick details of your stats and your perks and your skills, what you have on your left. And then you have your inventory that you would be bringing into or taking out of the dungeon. So you have 2 weapon slots. So you have your weapon slots on the left, and this is going to be the left side is going to be your main hand, and the right side is going to be your offhand. So I have an arming sword in my main hand and a shield in my offhand, and that works for both weapon sets. Then you have your slot for your head armor, your chest armor, leg armor. Then this is your boots. This is your gloves. This is a cape. And then you have 2 rings and a necklace. So pretty decent amount of gear. And then you have your utility slots. And if you look right here, it shows you what number on the keypad they are associated with. So you have 1 is your primary weapon set. 2 is your secondary weapon set. Pressing 3 will scroll through all of any utility items you have in these slots. So right now it would start with torch, and then I would scroll through to bandage or whatever I would have in my other slot. And then the same thing would be 4. So if I had these over here, if I pressed 4, it would scroll through these. So it works. It's pretty simple. Your stash is stuff that will not drop when you die, because this is a full loot PvP game. If you die in the dungeon, you lose everything that's on your character, unless you somehow get resurrected and come back and pick it up. Now, your stash is all safe. When you die, you don't lose it. The only time you ever lose what's in your stash is when they do a full wipe. And you can take stuff and put it in the stash accordingly. So I can't, because these are supplied items. These haven't been taken into and out of a dungeon yet. So I can't put them in my stash. Now, here is the merchants. You have the alchemist, which is, they do potions and magical items. So the crystal sword, which is for wizards and warlocks. The spell book, which is for wizard, cleric, and warlock. The magical staff, which is wizard, cleric, and warlock, etc. You also have 2 different types of potions. You have the poor rarity potion and the common potion. So if you look here on the item description, it'll have the name of the item, how much it slows your character down. So holding a potion slows your movement speed by 20. And they give you 15 health over 35 seconds. They're a utility item. They are a drink, and the rarity is poor. So if you go here, you can tell by the gray name that the quality is poor. If I scroll over the common potion, the name is going to be white. Same movement speed slowdown, but it recovers 15 health over 30 seconds instead of 35. Still a utility, still a drink, but the rarity is common. And then it tells you the price and a description. So then you have the gray crystal sword or the white crystal sword, gray staff or the white staff. And that's just uncommon or poor, and then there's poor and then common. They also have services, so you could turn iron powder and copper. You could turn iron and copper into powders, or cobalt powder, etc., etc. And then if I go to armor, he has 3 tabs. He has trade, service, and quest. So his service is he could turn the different ores into ingots on the armor, or he could turn it into metal armor. So the armor sells all metal armors, so mostly for fighters and clerics, and a little bit for barbarian. That's basically it for this guy. It's mostly a fighter and cleric shop. If you look at everything here, there's some stuff for barbarians too, like the helmets and the chest piece. And then he also offers services, and then they have quests. Now, he doesn't have a quest until you hit level 5, which I will show you the quests on somebody else. Then you have the fortune teller who sells crystal balls and then potions of luck. These will increase your loot drops. And then you have the goblin merchant, which is basically gambling. So you don't know what rarity these will be. You just buy them and it randomly rolls you an item of that type. And then he does have quests, but you have to complete mimics and money to get the first one. So leathersmith is all the leather items, mostly rogues, rangers, fighters who use the slayer perks, etc. Same thing, services. He can make leather items out of cobalt powder, and then he also has quests, but you must reach level 5. And then there's usually the seasonal trader. So right now it's Nicholas, basically Santa, and it's the same thing. You turn in candy canes that you find in the dungeon, and he gives you a random purple item of your choice. Everything's gonna be purple on here. It's just the perks are gonna be random. And then he also has quests, but you have to be level 10 first. Surgeon is only band-aids right now. He doesn't have any other tabs, just buy and sell. There's going to be more added to him later. And then you have the tailor, which is cloth items. So this is pretty much usable by anybody. And there's also the buy and sell tabs. And then there's trade, service, and so you could buy this stuff with the powder. And you have to supply the item that is in the picture. So to make a cobalt hood, you have to supply 1 cobalt hood plus 8 powder. Cobalt powder. And then he also offers quests. Now the tavern master sells instruments and ale. So this is what gives you that drunk effect, and it gives you 4 strength, and you become drunk for 15 seconds. So strength is going to give you additional damage, or melee and additional physical damage. And then he has a quest called Comes with the Territory. You don't know what the quest is until you accept it. So I'm going to accept it. And it says, okay, now I have to go kill 15 skeleton guardsmen, archers, and footmen. And then he'll give me 50 gold, some potions, and some experience. Now, doing quests for vendors also gives you access to better items. So see right now, all of them are gray or white. If I complete quests and I get more experience with this tavern keeper or the tavern master, I might be offered like a green or blue drum, or, up to like a purple drum, depending on what level I have with that shopkeeper. The collector is where you sell, there's items called trinkets. You sell all of your trinkets to the collector, and he just gives you cash. This is where most of your income is going to come from. He also offers quests. He doesn't have a buy tab because the trinkets don't really do anything. He's just here for selling and quests. The treasurer is where you turn silver into money. So you find these silver tokens, and you could either turn them in for gold, or you can have them turned into silver powder or ingots. He also offers quests, and you could buy gold purses, which are unique items that hold up to 50 gold each. And then he also offers a quest, kill mimics. You have to kill 15 mimics, and they could be in any dungeon. The weaponsmith sells all of your melee weapons and shields. So right now he just has 2 pavases, and it will change in about 30 minutes what he has on him. At least I don't know if so. Here you have your ranking with him. So right now everybody's neutral towards me, and then here is the timer for when things are going to switch. Here is your woodsman merchant. He sells mostly bows and crossbows, arrows and bolts. He also sells torches, lanterns, campfire kits, etc. And that's about it for the merchants. So the three most common are going to be the alchemist, where you buy potions, the surgeon, where you buy bandages, and then the collector, where you sell all of your trinkets. Then you have your trade. You can't become you have to be minimum level 15 and pay an initiation fee of 25 gold. And then cost per trade is 15 gold to become a trader. So I can't do this until level 15. This is where you're going to do all of your player-to-player trading. And that is, you can also make money doing that. But that won't come into effect until later. And then you have your gathering hall. This is where you can find other players to quest with. So right now there's only 2 players on US West, at least in the gathering hall. Then there you have US East, US West, EU Central, Northeast Asia, or East Asia, Tokyo, Singapore, Oceania, and Brazil. And then you have your customize, which allows you to pick all of your skins. To equip, you right click, and all of the skins do different stuff. So the elf, gain 1 agility, lose 1 strength. Orc, gain 1 strength, lose 1 agility. Elite skeleton, gain 10 magic resist, lose 10 armor. Same thing for the normal skeleton. Lizard man, gain 10 armor rating, you can't wear headgear. And I have blue lizard man because blue lizard man are the best. So I'm going to equip a skin, and then you have item skins. I have the blue torch. There's emotes, you just set them up like that. You press T to get them up. I have a lobby emote. And then I have the coffee time motion emote. So when I sit down, I drink coffee. And then you have shop, which is where you turn triumph levels. So these blue stones, your triumph levels gives you blue stones. Each level gives you 1. And then you have redstone, which you can buy. So I could buy redstones for 1 for $2, 2 for $4, 5 for $10, etc. And then you could use those redstones and blue stones to buy cosmetics. Or actually, I think in the ore classes, technically. They were selling the classes. I don't know if they're going to keep selling the classes, but all the cosmetics you have to pay for with blue shards or red shards. So that's this top menu. And then you have this, which is where your party invites show up. It's like a little scroll at the top right. And then you can enter a code for free if you have like a code for free stuff on the shop. So we've covered the top bar. You select your map here. So I'm going to go into, I have a quest to kill skeletons. So I'm going to select the ruins. And then if I want to go in, I press start. You have your player statistics down here. If you have a group, or if you have somebody you want to add to your group, you would click the little plus signs to the left and right of your character. Or you could go into player list and type their name. So if you type their name in here, it will search. No player found because there's nobody with that name. Or you could do the same. You go into the same menu by clicking that plus button. So pushing this just brings you into the player list. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for just starting out. Now, I'm going, and that's already like 30 minutes. So I'm going to go through an entire match and try to teach people some mechanics. I'm probably going to die, but I'm going to go through a match and teach you guys how to do the mechanics. So I'm going to take combo attack, and I'm going to take sprint and second wind because I play a little bit more aggressively. And I'm going to go into the ruins. So for the ruins, it's going to be mostly skeletons and spiders, and then there's going to be like wolves, a cockatrice, wraith, a giant worm. There's all kinds of monsters, but it's outdoors, and it's mostly undead. Either undead or like forest creatures. So clicking 1 brings out my primary. Since I don't have any spells or abilities or anything, or since I don't have any weapons equipped to my secondary weapons over here, pressing 2 does nothing. Pressing 3 is going to cycle through my utility items. So here's my bandage, which is going to heal recoverable health. So if I hover over it, the bandage heals 10 recoverable health, and it takes 5.5 seconds to apply the bandage. So what this is going to do, if I hold my attack button while I have that, it's going to start doing it. If I press F, it's going to cancel. And if I was missing any recoverable health, it would refill that. So I'm sure I'll take damage and have to use it. So as you can see, it's pretty dark. Torches help. Watch out for these. These are floor traps. If you walk closely to them, it'll trigger them. And then you could walk over them a little bit and then jump so that you don't take damage. But you have to time it right, so get used to that timing. So pressing F opens up the chests. Now, as you're just starting out, you're pretty much, your only goal is to do quests and make money. You want to try to buy another stash tab as soon as possible, and that costs 3,000 gold. So I'm going to pick up everything I can from these chests. And you can also break these barrels and jars. And sometimes it can be kind of hard to see what they drop, so I bust out my torch. So pressing the left mouse button attacks, and you can break barrels with a lot of weapons, and then right clicking blocks. Unless you set something up, mouse wheel doesn't do anything, and then inventory is tab, crouch is control or C, X puts your weapons away, and then it's WASD, and then Q and E are your abilities. So I just used sprint and walked over a trap, and then I will summon there's a monster right here. He has this Vihander, so his attack pattern is very wide. So I attack, back up. So you kind of want to treat it like a turn-based game almost. At least for the PvE and while you're first starting out. So here's some rawhide gloves. These are magical, so you can see their rarity is uncommon. Here's some old shoes and a leather cap. So if you look at these, they give 20 armor rating. They reduce my headshot damage reduction by 8. My movement, they slow me down by -5 movement speed, but they give me 2 vigor, which gives me health. And they give me a 2.3% magical damage bonus, which doesn't really help me. But if you look at it, it also says loot state looted, which means I found it in a dungeon. These give me 4 magic resist, 9 armor rating, +1 knowledge, +1 resourcefulness. And then the old shoes give me 10 armor rating, 3 movement speed, 2 resourcefulness, 2 more armor rating, and physical damage bonus. They're also rare. So this is the circle. Standing in the circle makes me take damage. And if I move inside of the circle, I stop taking damage. So, and since I've taken damage, now I can show you the bandage. So the darker red on the health bar is going to be recoverable health, which is going to be refilled by bandages or sitting down or certain songs and other stuff. So these are trinkets. So if you look at it, it says slot type invalid, and then it has the rarity and loot state. But these stuff like bangles, certain rings, and stuff like that are all going to be. You sell these to the collector. So I'm just going to play through here. But yeah, pretty much break everything you can, and then as a strategy when you're first starting out, what I would do is kind of take it slow. Loot up as much stuff as possible and stay on the edge of the circle and try to avoid combat with other players until you learn the attack patterns of the monsters. So most of the normal skeletons will take 3 to 4 hits with any weapon that's stronger than like a dagger. Like 3 to 5 usually. And when you're first starting out, I just pick up everything and then throw out anything that's like, as you need space, throw stuff out. So I'm going to wait, and I'm going to move in slowly with the circle, take it slow, and try to avoid combat with other players. If you look at the top right of the screen, you can see the player kill feed. So right now, Homicidal Nut and the Gum Reaper are going around killing a bunch of people. And then the Dark Swarm killed one person and Edalus killed another. So there are people PKing or player killing. So try to avoid combat. I'm going to try to avoid combat here. Kill skeletons. Get my quest done. Pick up items and then leave. So my stash is getting, I'm getting a little full. So I'm going to start throwing out items, starting with the gray. And then replacing it with stuff I can sell, trinkets and stuff like that. So I'm going to kill... I'm nowhere near the circle, so I have to find my way to it. So I'm going to kill these monsters and then get the heck out of here. But don't worry about the circle too much. So these boots are going to be better than the ones I had because they have more movement speed. And that's what I'm going to be most worried about right now is movement speed. I want to be able to move as fast as possible because I'm really trying to avoid contact with other monsters, with other people. And you can even avoid fights with monsters when possible. So somebody's already been through here because you can see all the dead people. The circle's closing in on me. There's a door here. I'm going to go through here because I know where like the hot spots are and I'm going to try to avoid them. Nobody's been through here. So I'm going to kill these monsters. So try to remember that headshots do more damage. Arm shots and leg shots do the least amount of damage. And then chest shots are kind of in the middle. So the swarm doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does do enough. So you kind of want to remember to not take damage when you don't really need to, but don't be too afraid of the swarm. So these shrines of health will actually refill your health. So I'm going to grab this really quickly. And I am going to avoid the bridge because there's usually a lot of players there. And here's a blue portal. So I have a little bit of loot. I'm going to make a little bit of money. I'm going to take this blue portal and I'm just going to leave. It's as simple as that. So what I did was I stayed around the edge of the circle. I fought mostly monsters. I didn't even engage with another player. And then I left. Boom. So I'm going to see how many people there are here. So there's a full team. So you can spectate after the match is up. So yeah, these guys are looking to PK people. They're just sitting in the middle of the circle waiting for other players to arrive, looting up as much as possible. This guy found a cape. He has a bunch of good loot. But yeah, one and done. I don't really care about that, so I'm going to go to about PvP in this video. But now I'm just going to sell all of my sellables, my collectibles, to the collector. So I'm going to sell the scroll and all of those little things that I found. I'm going to make $31. And then I'm going to come down here to the weaponsmith. I'm going to go to sell. And I'm going to sell everything I'm not really going to use to the weaponsmith. So in the beginning, like stuff like this, I'm just going to sell it because I can't trade it to anybody right now. And you kind of need the stash space. I'm also going to sell the ale and the potion of invisibility. And I'm going to put these in my stash along with all of this cash. So I'm also going to sell these because I can't bring them into normal dungeon. And I need the cash. So I'm back down to base kit, except I have some Francisca axes. But I also have... I could wear these, and I could wear this. And I made $89 from that run, which isn't bad. So now what I would recommend is just to kind of run in with this stuff that I have again. If anything, I'll buy some potions and some bandages just in case I take damage from PvE so I can heal. And I'm ready to go. I still have 56 bucks and I could go back in. Now, for the first few matches until you get the hang of it, I honestly wouldn't buy any potions or anything. Just go in, and I would put anything that you can use that's like good in your, like, go in with the items that you found, but like I would save your throwing axes and stuff like that until you kind of remember the patterns for monsters and you get used to PvP and stuff like that. Now, for spellcasters, that's a little bit different. If I go to my warlock again, and I'll do a quick run through of my warlock. So you have perks and spells. So here's Phantomize and Spell Memory. I'm going to put on Blow of Corruption and Spell Memory. And then I'm going to take Vampirism. So we get 20% magical healing bonus. And then I get to pick spells. So when I equip, if I don't have this on, I can't use my spells. You have to have your Spell Memory as equipped in your skill to use the spells. So I'm going to leave this basic with the basic, except I'm going to trade that out for Bolt of Darkness. Power of Sacrifice. I'll do a Warlock guide later, but so I'm going to take these spells. So I have Hellfire, Curse of Pain, Bolt of Darkness, and Power of Sacrifice. And to cast spells, it's pretty simple. It's pretty much the same thing. Let me grab these quests real quick. And I'll just kind of show you how to use spells. So to use spells, I hold down E, pick the spell I want to pick. So say I want to do Hellfire, and then I pull out my magic staff and right click, cast the spell. So you right click, wait until it's all the way charged, and then release it. So I'll cast Hellfire real quick. And there we go. So to change spells, I'll go to Curse of Pain. I'll hold E, go to Curse of Pain, and switch my spell. And then you kind of do the same thing. I'm going to stick to the outside of the circle. So yeah, as long as you kind of play safe, stick to the outside of the circle, take the first portal you can. Don't try to worry about filling up your stash or inventory too much. And grab and sell whatever you can in the beginning just to get money. Because all you're really doing is trying to fill up your coffers. And your first goal is to really get to 3,000 gold to fill up or to buy that second stash tab. So I heard another player. So I'm going to back off a bit. Oh, shit. That guy just one-shot me. Because I didn't have my longsword on. Oh, well. But yeah, I showed you guys what I wanted to show you. So what I mean by buying your second stash tab, if you click this button on your stash, the plus button is you could buy another stash tab. It costs $3,000, and then you could buy a third for $10,000, and then you could earn a fourth, I think, through questing. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm going to do more specific guides on how to fight individual monsters and how to play individual classes, but this is already like 48 minutes long. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Sorry about the longer video, but I really wanted to cover some basic strategies as well as how to play and cover all of the menus and all of this stuff. Yeah, just leave a comment below on what class you guys want to play, and I'll make a guide on it. And leave a comment on what monsters you guys are having trouble fighting, and I'll make a quick guide about those as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.